Welcome back to the NBA Weekend Report. I'm Joe Duffy of OffshoreInsiders.com, and along with Troy West of TroyWins.com, we are going to preview the weekend card going from Thursday until Monday, and then we will resume our normal Monday, Friday broadcast. Of course, it was the NBA All-Star break, so we took a little bit of time off, although I know I've been picking some college basketball winners. Hopefully you've been on OffshoreInsiders.com. Before I do get to Troy West of TroyWins.com, please remember, we definitely want you to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to these videos so you can get all the great sportsbook review videos. And before I get to the Thursday, February 22nd card, let's go to Troy West of TroyWins.com, taking a look at the Thursday portfolio.
Yeah, Joe, two intriguing matchups that I'm really looking at right now is I've got Cleveland circled, -5 at home against the Washington Wizards. You know, this could be a potential playoff matchup, and we know that Cleveland has been a covering machine since their trades, and they just look like a rejuvenated team. And I think right now, if you're a gambler out there, which you probably are if you're watching this video, I think you got to ride the Cleveland wave until they stop covering spreads. I mean, LeBron James is playing some of his better basketball. Rodney Hood looks like he's fitting that system great. George Hill's playing well, and they just look like they're having fun. And so until that team doesn't cover games consecutively, I'd ride out the Cavaliers, and that's only -5 at home against a Wizard team that's been pretty bipolar and has actually been really bad on the road this year. So I've got that one circled. And then another game is Golden State at home. They look to be -11 right now against the Clippers. And, you know, it's kind of a question mark game was what Golden State team will come out in the second half. But they do have a two-team race for that one seed against the Houston Rockets. But for me, I like Golden State to come out of the gate fresh from the All-Star break and ready to rock and roll. And I do think they're going to want this one seed in the end. Home court could actually play a big role into these Western Conference playoffs. So those are the two games I got circled. I like Cleveland at home, and I like the Warriors at home on that Thursday card.
And it's interesting, maybe Troy gave a little bit of hint. We're also going to talk about at the end of this report some teams that both Troy and I are looking at as far as which teams might be overvalued and undervalued. And he certainly gave a hint, at least what team he thinks is going to be undervalued in the next couple days. But we'll get to that. As far as the games I'm looking at Thursday, the Sixers and the Bulls going against teams with 5 or more game winning streaks and 4 or more days rest is actually 50 and 33. Now this makes perfect sense. As far as I'm concerned, the hot teams don't want the break. So it essentially says go against hot teams that had way too long of a day's rest. That would benefit the Bulls. But I'm going to tell you in a moment, it doesn't actually work the opposite with the cold teams. So I take that kind of I report, you decide approach. As I said, going against teams with at least a 5-game losing streak and at least 5 days rest is actually 25 and 11. So going against struggling teams, even when they're rested, is also profitable. That would benefit the Charlotte Hornets. And going against teams with a 5-game losing streak also would benefit Orlando over New York. That's Charlotte over the Nets and Orlando over New York. And the Thunder and the Kings, basically road favorites on a massive high scoring streak, 382 and 277. That would benefit the Thunder. But you're going to say, wait a minute, Joe Duffy of OffshoreInsiders.com. It's been a long basketball all-star break. I looked it up. 17 and 8 with 3 or more days rest, and surprisingly 7 and 3 with 5 or more days rest. So at least according to the computer, the all-star break doesn't slow down these road favorites that have been scoring quite well as of late. Now let's go to the Friday card, and Troy West of TroyWins.com.
Yeah, you know, two games I'm kind of looking at right now, Joe, is you got the Detroit Pistons at home against the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics are going into the second half, which I do think, like we'll talk about later on, I do think the Celtics are going to be a team to beat in the second half, and I do think they'll cover a lot of spreads, but I like Detroit in this spot. Detroit, they add Blake Griffin. This is a team, like I've said from the time beginning of our videos, that this is a team really fighting for the playoffs. This could potentially be the 1-8 matchup, but Detroit's got some talent on this roster. Blake Griffin's starting to fit in. I like Detroit at home. I've got that one circled. The Boston Celtics have not been playing well. They're known for their defense, but their offense has been atrocious as of late. So I like Detroit in that spot. And then the other one, boy, the Houston Rockets are playing phenomenal basketball, and they've been covering machines. And I got a stat here. They're 28-1 when Chris Paul, James Harden, and Clint Capella start. 28-1. That's not a small sample size. I can't tell you exactly how many they've covered out of that 28-1, but this is a really good Houston Rocket basketball team, and they're rocking and rolling. A lot of their games are going over, and they're covering spreads, but I like them at home against the Timberwolves. And those are the two games that I've got circled for that Friday night card.
Alrighty, as far as the games that I like for the Friday portfolio, the Blazers and the Jazz going against teams with 5 or more game winning streaks and 4 more days rest is 50 and 33. That would favor the Blazers. It would also favor the Bucks versus the Raptors and the Timberwolves against the Rockets. In addition, that regression to the mean, and this is sort of a little bit of a hint of maybe where I'll be leaning when we talk about some overvalued or undervalued teams at the end of this report, but going against teams with a much worse ATS margin to date. Now, that's not based on record. It's actually based on the spread margin or sweat barometer, but teams with at least a 5-point or worse against the spread difference are a good play, and that would benefit the Bucks. And as I said, also, the Minnesota going against the red hot teams, going against teams on at least a 5-game losing streak and at least 5 days rest, 25 and 11. That would favor the Cavaliers, although admittedly that's a little bit less so when they're rested. Clippers and the Suns, that's another one going against a team with at least a 5-game losing streak. That would benefit the Clippers and the more rested team, because Denver they'll already have started their quote-unquote second half. The more rested team playing at least 3 straight road games is 106 and 61. In fact, 47 and 24 and playing their 4th straight, and that would benefit San Antonio. But I do want to, again, say that it is just 500 with at least 3 days rest. Now, Troy, I'll be honest, as far as Saturday, some of the situations and scheduling anomalies didn't scream out at me. I do have some Sunday stuff, but as far as Saturday, you have anything you're looking at?
Yeah, just one game. I told them to tail on Friday with the Celtics, but the Celtics are going to be at New York on Saturday, and you and I both talked about New York as fade material with Porzingis out, and boy, they've been absolutely atrocious with him out. And I like Boston. Teams like to play in Madison Square Garden. It's kind of that fun place to play for guys like Kyrie Irving. Those type of guys like to play well in Madison Square Garden. I think that line will likely be anywhere between 5 and 8. And I think the Celtics will have a big bounce back game and rout the Knicks. But that was the only game I had circled for Saturday. Boston I think they're going to have a good second half. Brad Stevens is going to get things together. And that defense that Celtics have been playing is really going to rattle a team like the Knicks, who really have no offense whatsoever other than Tim Hardaway Jr. But without Porzingis, boy, they're not going to cover many spreads the second half of the year.
Yeah, that's for sure. That Knicks team is an absolute disaster. Well, I said I don't actually have any Saturday games, so maybe we'll just flip it around here. I'll take a look at the Sunday card first and throw it over to you. The Sixers and the Wizards. The Wizards will be rested versus a team playing back-to-back in 3 games in 4 nights. So those of you who like the more rested team. And the Spurs they'll be playing their 4th straight road game. Of course, a couple of them were before the All-Star break. In fact, I think it'll be their 5th straight road game. So Troy, do you have anything on the Sunday card?
Yeah, exactly. I do like the Cavaliers. We obviously don't know where that line's going to be, but Cleveland coming back home after playing Memphis. I like Cleveland. They lost to San Antonio at San Antonio the last time these two teams met. Popovich came out today with big news that he truly feels that Kawhi Leonard may not return this season. And I think when you hear a message like that, whether you're professionals or not, that's depleting. I mean, this is a Spurs team that thought, if we get Kawhi back, we could make a strong push in the Western Conference. But without him, they're nothing. And I think Cleveland at home, they're going to have a big revenge game after losing at San Antonio. And like you said, San Antonio is not the type of team that does well on a lengthy road trip. So I like Cleveland to get a big win at home, and I think they'll win that game by double digits on Sunday.
All righty, Troy. Well, I think you gave some hints at the top of this report what your answer is going to be, but who do you think will be some of the overvalued and undervalued teams exiting the All-Star break?
A lot of question marks, without a doubt. I'm going to start with undervalued. And, the Utah Jazz, like we talked about, this has been a really nice underachieving team, a young team that's got a lot of energy. This is a team that's going to be making a playoff push. I think Utah could be undervalued and have some good push down the stretch. I like the Boston Celtics, too. And the reason why, Brad Stevens, fantastic coach. This is a team that I truly believe wants that 1 seed and home court advantage going into the playoffs. And their offense has just gone bad going into the All-Star break. But I think the second half of the season, they could get an offensive push. And I do like teams that play good defense, and the Celtics do just that. And then I'll go circle back to Cleveland. As long as this team doesn't get complacent, this looks like a team that's got a lot of energy. LeBron James seems rejuvenated. I'm going to ride the Cavaliers until they tell me otherwise. The minute they don't cover 2 or 3 in a row and they go back to their old ways, stay away. But going into the second half, I think those are three teams that could be covering machines.
Yeah, Troy, and you bring up a good point about the Cleveland Cavaliers, because that's why I say I do not like to make futures bets. I don't want them to even subconsciously bias me for making those game-to-game adjustments. So even here, even if some of the sports books have in-season over-unders on wins totals, I wouldn't even mess with it because I like to make those game-to-game adjustments. But I do agree with you with Cleveland. They've been underachieving all year. Generally, as I said, because of so many of my angles are regression to the mean, I look at the teams that are at the bottom of the so-called sweat barometer as teams that have an upside, and that would be Cleveland and Phoenix. Now, Golden State, they're certainly towards the bottom. They're the third worst team. And the only thing there, you're not going to get very good value on them. So I think they're one team that's been a fairly good go against. It's probably going to still be a good go against. I think Philadelphia, it looks like they're playing Joel Embiid in back-to-back games. They're going to have to really increase his minutes. They're not a lock for the the eighth playoff position, although, they've been playing well as of lately. Who knows if they can get hot in the second half, which I do think they are. They could be, the sixth seed, the fifth seed, whatever. But I do think that Philadelphia is going to have to increase their playing time of their key players. Well, Troy, before we wrap it up, why don't you tell everybody what you can get at TroyWins.com?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. We've been on a real nice roll as of late in college basketball. It's been our main point of focus. But going into the second half of the NBA, we really like to pick our spots. But come take a look. We're happy to give you a 3-day trial, a 7-day trial. Happy to take care of you, just show you guys what we're all about. And that's TroyWins.com. You get myself or one of my colleagues. But again, that's TroyWins.com. And we are happy to give folks a free trial. It shows you what we're about.
And at OffshoreInsiders.com, been a very nice college basketball season, especially, but another good basketball season. I do give free picks on most days. Today I had a little bit of a flu, and I wound up skipping it. But visit OffshoreInsiders.com. I got premium picks, and I got free picks. Well, like I said, Troy and I were going to resume our normal schedule. We're going to go back to the Monday and Friday schedule now that the All-Star break is behind us. Like I said, click the subscribe button now if you haven't already. Some great videos put out by Sportsbook Review.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.